Thursday. Today we got another podcast already, EP7. And today again, it will be a free talk and discussion over crypto in general with the crypto community. Join, listen to ideas and opinion of the carefully selected guests. So today we are hosting Galler.io. I want to welcome Harpy from the Galler.io team. And we will be talking on the NFTs, GameFi, and current trends. So at first, Harpy, please, could you introduce yourself and mainly what is your role in the project? And we will drop a bit of introduction on the Galler as it is important to let community know.
Hey, Alan. Hey, Alan and the PR team. Thanks for having us today. On behalf of Galler, hello everyone. My name is Harpy, and I lead marketing and partnerships for the Galler NFT marketplace. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Let me ask you a really quick question, and that's like when and how did you started with the Galler? Like, what was the original idea or story behind creating this whole NFT marketplace? As we know that actually Galler is one of the better marketplaces to look around regarding the volume, which projects you are bringing on. So just to present these ideas to our community.
Okay. So the concept behind Galler is that there's the past few months or even few years, you've seen the influx of a lot of NFT marketplaces out there being built, but there's really no NFT marketplace that incentivizes users for certain behaviors. Say, for example, collect certain amounts of NFTs and you get X amount of tokens from Galler, from the marketplace. We wanted to make a marketplace that does just that. Galler was born out of the need to give back to the users in an ever-growing field of NFT, and in turn also helps projects have more benefits to them because users are now more engaged, more active, and the marketplace tends to attract a lot of new users because of the rewards angle to being in the marketplace.
Right. Thank you for the introduction. And actually, right now, maybe try to bring us more about the partnerships that are vital to the Galler. Like, could you name some? And like, we know that if you want to be established in the space, you need to have these. So what are the most vital ones to Galler.io team?
Of course. Well, a lot of the partnerships we've done that contributed to our growth the past few months was with the projects, where we launched co-hosted campaigns with them. This AMA is a perfect example of that. So thanks for inviting us again. And we do have an existing partnership with Binance as well, where a lot of the projects that list in Binance actually are also offered to join and list in the Galler NFT marketplace. So that actually drove a lot of our business the past couple of months.
Great. And if we ask for some events in the horizon that Galler has, so like what we should look for and expect from the Galler to roll out, what are the events that are essential and we are waiting for?
Okay. We are launching several new features that, I don't think I'm allowed to disclose yet, but I think one of the things that we're building out for at the moment is building out solutions for brands or entities or companies not existing or currently not in the Web3 space. So one example is that we're building a marketplace as a service feature that allows Web2 brands or Web2 companies to join in Web3 by giving them a platform to host a marketplace, their own marketplaces on.
Great. I mean, in the terms of what makes Galler maybe unique and why many projects choose Galler, especially when we were choosing the Galler.io, I was looking up for GameFi projects like the Age of Gods and such, and this made me a great decision to list our NFTs there. So like, what makes your marketplace unique and like why we should choose the NFT marketplace if we are either like project owners or especially the artists.
Great question. So I loop back to what I said earlier. For collectors, for users, for buyers, we are actually the only NFT marketplace out there that rewards their users for our buyers for being with us. No other marketplaces value their customers as much as we do. So that ends up having that ends up for the marketplace having a lot of highly engaged users, highly engaged collectors, and it's such a benefit for the projects because then they're seeing a lot of engagement that they don't usually see on other marketplaces.
Great. I mean, this was the bit story on the gallery. And may I ask, like, what was the proudest milestone or any achievement you've achieved with the gallery team? And what is like the crown jewel of the gallery?
Sure. Actually, Ellen, I think one thing that we are proudest of, since Galler is really just a baby, it's in its infancy stage, but we have actually reached already millions of volume a couple of months after launch, which is very great. Which is very great business wise, as it shows promise to the growth of the marketplace. As you know, we've also managed to onboard projects which have been completely amazing on our end to be the preferred marketplace for these amazing projects to launch into.
Great, thank you. Well, let's now move towards the main talk, and that's the NFTs, current trends. So, at first, I would love to ask on like what are the current trends in the NFTs? Like we've seen that there is a decline in the whole volume OpenSea on the marketplaces, but are there any NFTs that are currently trending?
Actually, one of the things that I noticed, because you do know, I had a lot of the partnerships with a lot of the projects that on board with us, right? Some interesting trend that I've seen the past few months is that there has been a major uptick with a lot of the Web2 brands wanting to hop on to the Web3 space by launching NFTs as a gateway, which is pretty amazing if you ask me, as it gives us the first point of contact for everyone in the scene to just come in and check out what Web3 is all about.
Mhm. Like what I've been watching is a lot of the times that there are NFTs with the auto staking. Like, have you heard of those NFTs?
Yeah,
Yeah, and like, could you maybe name some project and like how they are utilizing them? Because to be honest, I've seen a project launched by Gross Launch here from the Laos, and they've been doing quite well. So basically, the staking from the NFTs is given the right utility, and we will talk about it later. Like if there is a art place or rather the whole utility for the holders. But like, have you seen those in a practice? And like, what do you think? Like, why they are so attractive?
yeah. Maybe I'll go back to my example. Web2 brands crossing over to Web3 by launching their own NFTs. I could say that one major example that I've seen the past month is the Frank Mueller collection. Frank Mueller is a very widely known luxury brand of watch. So they launched an NFT collection with us. The amazing thing about it is that uh, uh, it's very well received by the community. A lot of our KOLs actually participated in the launchpad because they wanted their hands on a Frank Mueller NFT. So I think it helps us. It's a good thing that these brands are actually crossing over to Web3 right now because these are the guys that will help us cross over into the mainstream. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
even though they do have potentially almost the same utility as much more a lot other NFT projects have, it's actually a good reach for us to onboard them in the Web3 scene because they're the ones who's gonna help us navigate mainstream waters. And they're the ones who's gonna help us bring in more people into the ecosystem.
And like you've mentioned the Launchpad, And I know that Galar is kind of trying to be one. So maybe could you introduce this future that Galar are trying to push and like how it has been so far, with the community or like which projects you've had on Launchpad, just to introduce this future, because a lot of times when you're speaking Galar, people just saying, "Oh, that's NFT marketplace," but I think this utility is essential as well. So just to introduce.
Yeah. It's been amazing because we don't right now we don't have the capacity to help users mint their own NFTs yet. So if you want to onboard if you want to upload your NFTs in the marketplace, you really have to go through two routes. You either have to apply for a launchpad, or you can apply you can import your collections that are existing on other marketplaces already. I think this is a good thing because right now we are also sharing a lot of our resources with Binance, who is our major partner. So a lot of the launch pads that do launches in Binance also happen to launch in Galler as well. So I think it's been an amazing journey, and we're continuing to do the momentum so that in the future, when people hear of Galler, they'll finally understand that this is one of the nicest, if not nicest, NFT marketplace in the BSC ecosystem, in the BNB chain ecosystem.
Great. So this was an introduction with the launchpad of Color, and let's again try to talk about these current trends in the NFTs. And let's try to touch the sales and like which NFTs you think are the most popular and why. Like as we were talking before, some of the out-of-staking NFTs are doing well. Well, previously the market was still kind of shaky. So are there any trend in the NFTs that you can see on the Color.io marketplace? Like which NFTs are doing well?
Yeah, it's been a continuous streak for the past few months that Meta Apes has been one of our top selling collections in the marketplace. So I think that's one. And it's amazing because what I noticed about Meta Apes is that they have very, very highly engaged community, which allows them to amplify their efforts not just on their channels, but also on the channels of their highly engaged user base.
So you think that actually the community is much more important than the actual utility behind?
I think utility is what drives
Mm-hmm.
community. So it's really a given that these are the components that an NFT collection should have in order to for them to be successful. Utility and community are equally both important to a collection.
That's quite interesting. And you know what? Let's jump into the theme I wanted to talk about later. And we can clutch this utility versus the actual art, the whole art process and how the NFTs are looking. And maybe let's add in scarcity. So we were talking in the last podcast with a Phoenix blockchain and a few other guys on this one. And we were simply discussing if it is rather more the art or actual art or the utility that drives up the price. And we kind of ended into that the utility much more drives the price of this of these NFTs. But still, if we were talking, for example, about the Bored Apes and for how much these NFT sales, so do you think that there is a place for art in the crypto space and especially in the NFTs? What do you think about this whole duality of utility versus the art itself?
Okay. I'm gonna tell you a story about art versus utility. If you remember the concept of gatekeepers in art since the start of Renaissance period, this is a story that I really like telling all of my friends. Whenever I try to make them understand how value of NFT is actually calculated nowadays, I tell them the story about how art is actually gate kept since the beginning of time, the Renaissance period. The gatekeepers would be the ones deciding the value of art as they deem fit. These gatekeepers are the media, curators, critics, government, and the like. But today, with NFTs, that culture has completely been transformed into something more community powered instead of the gatekeepers. I believe at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, I'd really only like to see I'd really only like to let the community decide on what the values of NFTs are. So the gatekeepers became depowered. Right now, the community decides on what value the NFTs will have. So that's why I've been telling earlier, utility and community is by far some of the most important things to look at in terms of valuing an NFT project.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you are talking the utility, like what do you think are the most popular ones or the actual ones that drives up the price? If anyone listening here, like for either like project owners or the artists, like what utilities shall we apply if we want to sell the NFTs?
Well, it actually depends on the project, but so far I've seen projects highly value their NFTs when the NFTs have actual real life utility use case scenario. Sometimes most of these are NFTs that have claimable merchandise benefits, ticketing NFTs. So these are the usual NFTs that tend to have higher values and tend to have more mainstream audiences. But as you know, the community is fully involved with a lot of NFT gaming projects, music, a lot of claimable assets online. So I think those are also good utilities. But if you are looking at, I guess, real life scenario use cases of NFTs, I think you as a brand should always relate to two audiences: audiences from the Web3 space and your audiences from the Web2 space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like this is quite interesting as we are gamifying projects and trying to focus on the side. So maybe could you present some of the music NFTs and like how they are working and like what should we look for?
Okay. So there's actually one interesting NFT project that we've worked with the past months. It's called Co-Write. And Co-Write is actually handling the IP of internationally renowned DJ and musician Alan Walker. So if you know him, he actually produced the song Faded, which is a highly popular song on TikTok. So this guy, actually the DJ, actually released his collection of NFTs through Co-Write, who minted the NFTs for him and launched it in Gallery and Binance.
Mm-hmm.
So the utility of this NFT is that if you're a collector, you actually earn a revenue percentage from the music video that will be launched by Alan Walker.
Wow.
Essentially, royalties are now tokenized based
Mm-hmm.
on the collections that you own, the NFTs that you own from this collection. It's really interesting because it empowers fans to actually own a piece of the production of the
Mm-hmm.
content that the artists are actually creating. It's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, this is like quite interesting as I believe that um, I think if you are a stakeholder or if you are about to purchase some shares of the company, you are usually tend to have like some percentage of the shares in order to have a vote or something. But this is a whole new utility towards NFTs and this whole space. And as we believe, this could be the future. And I'm in love with what you are basically saying. Also, you've mentioned that there is an overlap toward the real world. So have you seen on a gallery some NFTs that have this overlap and actually the utility is working and we can see how the NFTs evolve and drive up the real life? Are there any projects out there that have those NFTs? And again, like, could you introduce if yes?
Yeah, sure. As I mentioned earlier, the Frank Miller collection is an amazing example of that real life use case scenario. So the Frank Miller collection actually released a collection of NFTs that allows some of the buyers to claim watches in real life So all they have to do is bring the NFTs to one of the Frank Mueller stores and actually claim for the watches themselves. So this is very interesting because right now the NFTs actually act as proof of purchase for the users. So it's an interesting use case for most users who also want to own a certificate of ownership of the actual product that they purchased. And yeah, I think that's one prime example of one of the collections that I've seen so far.
Great, great. Like this is awesome. Like we are really seeing some sort of application and overlap into the real world, which is kind of why we are there, right? We are just not only launching those NFTs to some GameFi projects. Like yes, like most of the times it was a Ponzi, and these projects actually had no idea how to produce the game and just release the NFTs of the hype. But if you are talking about this whole overlap real world use case, maybe let's now turn towards the art process, right? And about the art itself. So do you think that the projects, or if there are some of them, are focusing much more on the art itself and trying to push via the art rather than the utility? And if yes, are there any investors that are looking for the art and buying the actual art rather than the utility? What do you think about this?
Yeah. Actually, I've seen a lot of these. Not just in Galler, but also in Binance right now. So I have seen a lot of the creators just put out their work out there. Just hoping that someone is going to be able to bank on the fact that the art is actually pretty good. You know, and it just so happens that there are actually a lot of people who bank on that fact. That's number one. That's because the art is actually pretty good. But the second thing is that they're also banking on the fact that they think, I'm talking about collectors here, the collectors usually think that this artist has the potential to make it big in the future, you know? So that said, if they buy it now, they're actually buying the NFTs at a discount. Because if this creator actually makes it big in the future, they now hold an NFT that's more valuable than what they initially purchased it to be. You know, so I think the concept behind buying NFTs based on the quality of the art is
Mm-hmm.
still there. It's still an amazing concept because that proves that art still has a place in this industry. And it's still I'm still seeing a lot of people collect NFTs because it's intrinsically beautiful as it is, and that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And like, do you think that I suppose that from what you've been saying, that there are actually less people that care about the art itself rather than the utility. So, like, why do you think is that? It is the actual vision of getting your few bucks appreciated. So you're looking for some sort of a price appreciation rather than the art. So there are more speculators than the actual collectors or maybe artists.
I think it's driven by the industry as well, because NFTs have been deemed similar to how people have percepted cryptocurrencies.
Mm-hmm.
So, the main point here is that a lot of the collectors right now in the NFT space are actually not the similar ones that you get from the art scene, from the
Mm-hmm.
traditional art scene. So I think there's still that dichotomy between NFT and art based on that sense. But I feel like if there are more creators to onboard their actual fans, I think in the future the community, the user base will be much more diversified.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you think like this whole duality is actually right and healthy? Like because right now we are seeing decline in the markets, we are seeing a lot of decline in the volumes in the marketplaces, and like for me myself and the Tyra and how the actual art is made. So we got like a two CDOs around 20 of artists. And if we want to make some sketch or the full art, we need to go through a whole onboarding process, then to vet these sketches from the individual artists, then getting that accepted by the one CDO, second CDO, and then the actual art is made into a card, and people are able to either purchase as an NFT or earn via some sort of events. So I know there's been a lot of trouble getting those quality NFTs, as I've been focused on. And I know there are projects rather that focus on the scarcity and the utility. So the actual art is not that, let's say, qualitative, but much more utility driven and quantitative. So have you seen this in the space of project owners? And do you think there are some people around that follows the same scrutiny for the actual art as we here in Tayara?
Yeah, I guess you could say that that is the norm right now because as I mentioned earlier, Ellen, the community is still comprised probably 90% of people who want to make a quick buck on NFTs rather than art collectors, So that is really why we are trying to aim to onboard as many mainstream brands as possible and as many actual creators, quality creators as possible, because then that's the only time we can actually diversify the community into accepting more collectors and balancing the ecosystem more with art appreciators and those who are looking to make money in terms of holding NFTs. So I think this is going to be the norm in the next probably couple of months, years, not until we've managed to diversify the fact that the community has actually started accepting people outside the crypto space,
And if you are saying accepting outside of the crypto space, have you seen any some sort of maybe a movement or tries to get this overlap, and maybe projects that are trying to bridge the space in between the actual crypto, maybe crypto gaming, NFTs, and the actual real world, let's say, artists, collectors, and also casual, normal people that are just wondering and speculating on the art. Like, are there any sort of actions like these, and you are noticing that?
Yeah, I've seen it actually. I've seen it firsthand, and I'm really amazed at how some of these projects work towards onboarding more people outside the scene to adapt into the Web3 community, and I think I mentioned earlier, one of the prime example of this is what Cored is doing right now. So what they're doing right now is they're actually empowering the existing fans of these musicians to hop on and adapt into Web3 and at the same time get incentivized for doing so, And this is amazing because it's actually helping a lot of these artists move over into the scene as well.
Right. And you're talking Web3, and I think most of the people right there who are listening may not really be sure like what Web3 is bringing and what changes it means, or can we talk about that regarding to NFTs? What's the Web3 is bringing for NFTs, and again, what should we look for?
Well, Web2 is your usual internet products like Facebook is Web2, Twitter is Web2. But all of these things associated with private identities, NFTs, cryptocurrencies, they're usually the ones that are categorized under the Web3 umbrella now, And as a barometer, users are the behavior of the users or the belief of the users right now is actually going into the ideas of Web3, which is privacy on the internet, that your data should be owned by you, that a lot of things that you produce on the internet should be owned by you, unlike the beliefs of Web 2. So that's actually why a lot of developers or a lot of creators, a lot of builders are creating products that are adaptive to the consumer's needs nowadays. And NFT was born out of that concept, you know? So, and that's also why it's a bit, the community is still a bit gate kept because not a lot of people understand that these are the values that people are looking for right now. And only a few brands actually understand. And that's why they're actually trying to put in efforts to move into the Web3 space, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there was a hype around a lot of things, right? And so if you're talking about Web3, do you think actually that it is a true future and that the Web3 is going to actually win and push through as a mainstream thing?
Man, I believe so, Ellen. I truly believe so that
Right.
Web3 is going to be the next big thing. If not, if it's still not a big thing right now, you know. But I truly believe that a lot of people will come to their senses and finally realize that Web3 is the next thing after what we're expected to comply at the moment for Web2, you know.
Mm-hmm. Right. Um, I mean, just because, right, we are talking Web3, we are seeing a lot of investments from KuCoin, Binance, these major kind of innovative labs trying to get their hands on the Web3 projects. But still, the Web3 is under incubation, and to be able to bridge the space, right, there is a lot of work. So that's why I'm asking, and like personally, I'm in line with that. Like I'm personally a bit of a dreamer, and I see these things as a true future, right? So yeah, maybe let's now try to touch the marketplace again of yours, just to be able to speak up with the listeners. So, for example, if I was a actual artist or a project owner, how can I list on the Galar NFT marketplace, and what is the process behind in order maybe to get some sort of support from the team of Galar, and what futures can I expect from the listing?
Okay, thanks for asking this, Ellen. I think this is going to be a good information for our guests here who might be interested in importing their collections in Galler, or if they have an existing collection that, or if they plan to launch a collection in the future and they want Galler as a marketplace of choice. So there are two ways. All depends on who you are as a creator right now and what your NFT drops are. So if you're a launchpad, you go to the website, galler.io to apply for a list, to list. We vet these applications, and the support that you're given is top notch. So you'll get a full marketing support in order for you to have maximum coverage for your launchpad. But if you're already listed somewhere else, a different marketplace, and you would like to import your collection, you can actually do so by following the guided instructions on the website as well. It's as simple as connecting your wallet and importing your NFTs. It's actually pretty straightforward, and I would advise you guys to check out Galler because we have an amazing community in Galler. So yeah, just do so at your own time.
Great. Maybe if you will think about anything that should be shared in the group, just feel free to drop into the Color Tyra group so I could forward. And we will shortly move toward another theme. And that is the actual copyrights of the NFTs. And how do you see project owners actually securing the copyrights, right? Because a lot of the times when we were talking about the GameFi NFTs in our hub with the projects on the collaboration, and I asked about the copyrights, they were kind of struggling to say anything correct about their secure copyrights, and just kind of bit mishmashed around, and this is what I don't like. So do you think that the project owners or the artists caring much about the copyrights still in the crypto space, and like how it is presented? And maybe also if your team are actually reviewing these things if you're listing some sort of a project or corporates. And
For sure, for sure. The thing about the thing about NFTs right now is that it gets through a thinner and finer line with NFTs in terms of copyright. And as a marketplace, we don't usually have a major say in terms of deciding who the copyright owners are, because that is set on a political jurisprudence. So that means that if a project is actually able to prove that the copyright is theirs through documentation, we would be happy to support them. But as a marketplace, it's very hard for us to vet because we don't have a centralized database where we can check to see the legitimacy of each IP that is being applied on each of our listing. But we do have we do practice best practices. We do have best practices in terms of understanding whether an IP is considered risky for us to onboard. So that's actually one of the preventive means that we do in order to prevent copyright infringement. But I believe that the existing structures most IP and copyright laws cover in a lot of countries should be ready to prevail and adapt itself in us to start looking into NFTs as another media format to regulate copyright issues globally.
right, and like this is the sort of thing. We are doing a lot of podcasts lately and been discussing with the project owners on that. And like a lot of people saying that the regulations are bad for a crypto, either by if you're a tokenized a project or if you're using NFTs. But still, there might be some sort of legal background, right, that will push this through, and the actual regulations make it more mainstream. It may be hurt a bit, but still, it may be the way. So this was about the copyrights, and also I want to bring an important and kind of intriguing question, and that's on the future of NFTs. So you are from the Gallery team. You have onboarded quite a few projects, checking out the current trends. So where do you see the future of NFTs? Like really think about that, and let's bring out the best what you can think about, because this is kind of intriguing for I think a lot of the listeners right there.
Thanks for that question. That's an amazing question. But I cannot stress enough that we've only just been able to scratch the surface of the potential of NFTs right now. There's still so many use cases left to discover. There's still so many people that can start adapting to the concept. There's still so many entities that can actually use NFTs and transform use cases based on their needs at the moment. But I think the overlying principle of NFTs, the use cases that will be important in the near future is number one is identifying legitimacy of a document. Say, for example, healthcare technology, financial technology companies will start adapting and using NFTs as proof of transactions in their ecosystems and their products and businesses. So I think this is one of the use cases or the utility of NFTs that we've yet to discover in the next couple of months.
Like for me myself, I'm rather trying to really bring out the idea about the art itself, and I was thinking a lot about like why the board apes were so kind of popular in the space. And of course, like there are some influencers that push maybe the scarcity, but still clearly there are people in the crypto space that are willing to pay a lot for the actual NFTs. So I'm kind of intrigued where we will actually maybe bring out the space with the metaverse, right? And I'm wondering if there will be a space for NFTs in the metaverse itself. And like if we are visiting some art gallery in a real life, we are watching the art, and the art is just exciting, intriguing. It gets you questioning all the space around. And I am really excited to see if we will be able to bridge this whole art or artish feeling into the NFTs. And if maybe one time we could see this in the NFT space. Like, what do you think about this?
Yeah, definitely agree. And I feel like I have the same thoughts on that angle as you do. Yeah, I'm just so excited to see more mainstream entities, more mainstream brands adapt into the concept of NFTs, because that's the only time that we can actually onboard a lot of users. Since I really do believe in the values of NFTs and how it can change lives for the better. So I'm really just excited for that day to come, you know.
Right. Um, well, this was about whole art and the future of NFTs. Like maybe I will ask something the same I was saying, and like what you personally would love to see in the NFT space in the future.
I would like to see um more art different various types of arts being onboarded into the ecosystem, you know. Because right now you can only most of what you can see is JPEG, some videos, some music. But what if there are actual NFT use case scenario for other forms of art, like say tattoos, say fine arts, right? So I do know that they do have fractionalization right now, so that's a good use case adoption of fine arts. But yeah, I do want to see other forms of traditional art and new media being adapted into NFTs.
Great, great. Uh, Maybe well we are speaking for almost 45 minutes. So maybe let's try to wrap up. And so we are preparing the GameFi podcast next with our partners and guests. So I would love to invite you for the next podcast as well. But as we are into this podcast about the NFTs and introductory, maybe could you drop a last words about the gallery, about the NFTs, and what should we bring from this whole discussion we had, and what caught your minds, any ideas, to have this talk finished kind of non-formally and still intriguing way.
Oh well, hearing that it's a discussion about GameFi, I feel like it would be a good conversation to bring in traditional gaming companies into the mix to see what their thoughts are in terms of the communities adapting and using NFTs for the games that they play in terms of the preference that they have in the games that they play, you know. And I also think that it would be interesting to have some marketplaces over, because they're the ones overseeing a lot of the operations in terms of how these projects are actually marketing themselves in order to appeal to traditional gamers, you know.
Right, right. And maybe also the last verse regarding the color, maybe to wrap up really the whole talk. Like, what are the events, once again, we should look out for regarding color NFT marketplace, and why people should keep an eye on your socials, and what's intriguing we await from the team?
Yeah, first of all, of course, thank you, Ellen, for having me today. In terms of what the users or community can anticipate with Galler, we do have more rewards coming. I cannot just disclose what it is, but it's gonna be special. So we do have more rewards for our users coming. Just now, as we speak, I actually launched a campaign. So if you guys have the time to check it out, you can win 500 BUSD prize from a 500 BUSD prize pool to share with your friends by joining this campaign. And there's also going to be a lot of features for institutions, like the marketplace as a service feature. So if you're a traditional brand, you're a Web2 brand who is looking to venture into NFTs and want to have your own marketplace, you can actually use Galler technologies to do just that. And I think that's some of the things that I can share with you guys today.
Great. So once again, I would love to thank you for joining us today. I hope it was an intriguing discussion. We've been through a lot of ideas, and we are reserving a few of the themes for the next time. I hope so. So once again, thank you, Harpy, for joining us today. I've tried to keep it intriguing for the listeners, really informational, and bring on some important values, ideas on the NFTs. So this is your time to say like the last words for the community before we will end the official recording, and we will say goodbye to our listeners.
All right. Again, thanks for having us today. Ellen and the Tayara team, we're looking forward to doing more activities with you guys. And to the Tayara community, you guys rock. I hope to see you guys in Galler soon. And yeah, do follow us on our socials. Twitter is at Galler NFT. And we also have our own Telegram group, which where you can see much of our updates on. That's it. Thanks for having me today.
All right. Thank you, Harpy. And for the listeners, we will be having one more collaboration coming up at 20 UTC time. So probably 1 hour, I'm sorry, 3 hours from now. And the winners for the prizes gonna be stated just right after. So once again, guys, it was a great discussion, great podcast. Another podcast gonna be announced soon, and this was a great time with Harpy and Galler. So once again, follow the socials, keep an eye on the Galler.io as they are a great NFT marketplace. And thank you for this discussion, and have a great rest of the first day. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.